learning more about the soft approach to China, even as tensions are escalating. I'm Kristi Leigh, and I'll break that down in today's Daily Brief. Plus, learn just how much legacy media has backed off covering the environmental disaster in Ohio and why. American support for Ukraine is waning, and in the new world of woke, an Indian immigrant is called a white supremacist. Starting today with new revelations about the Chinese spy balloon.
CBS News has just learned that U.S. intelligence watched the high-flying airship as it lifted off near China's south coast. That means the U.S. military had been tracking it for nearly a week before it entered U.S. airspace.
Why didn't the Biden administration do anything to stop the Chinese surveillance balloon from entering U.S. airspace? Waiting until the balloon had already flown across the U.S. before shooting it down is even more suspicious when you consider the connections between Biden and China. Breitbart reports secret China donations to University of Delaware soared after the opening of the Biden Institute. The university received nearly $7 million in anonymous donations from China, including direct funding from the Chinese government after Joe Biden set up a program there in his name. This revelation comes following reporting that anonymous China-linked funds flowing to the University of Pennsylvania almost tripled after the inauguration of the Penn Biden Center, which illegally housed classified documents. Neither the Biden Institute nor the university responded to requests from Breitbart to identify the Chinese donors or explain why the Chinese government decided to fund UD after the Biden Institute was created. Despite the delayed response to the spy balloon, China is threatening countermeasures against U.S. entities over balloons downing, according to The Hill. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson did not go into detail about the countermeasures and did not identify the targets of those measures. China has been accusing the U.S. of flying its own balloons over China, which the U.S. denies. Since shooting down the Chinese balloon, the U.S. has shot down 3 more unidentified aerial objects over North America. But while legacy media has covered the sudden shootdowns extensively, despite still no word on where those objects came from or their purpose, it's backed off reporting on the potential environmental catastrophe in Ohio. Daily Wire, 3 legacy media outlets have spent less than 30 combined minutes covering the Ohio train crash. East Palestine citizens were told they could return safely to their homes less than 1 week after a controlled burn. Residents and first responders have since reported worrisome health issues. Still, outlets like ABC, NBC, and CBS refused to continue reporting on the story. Media Research Center analysts say rather than being a voice for the people, reporters have just taken talking points from Norfolk Southern and the Ohio EPA, both of which have blatant incentives to downplay the seriousness of the situation. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance has blasted the media for minimal coverage on the crisis, saying legacy media is already prone to neglecting the problems faced by Middle America, adding that many reporters are unwilling to question government agencies about the scope of the disaster, a disaster which seems to be only getting worse. The Gateway Pundit reports an Ohio woman finds all of her chickens and rooster dead 10 miles from East Palestine following the mushroom cloud of toxic chemicals released into the air. And we're learning more about the hazardous chemicals released, such as the toxic carcinogen vinyl chloride. National File reports the carcinogen is linked to liver cancer, lymphoma, leukemia, brain cancer, and lung cancer. Locals in Ohio train derailment area have now been advised to drink bottled water, according to Epoch Times. Besides being burned off in a controlled fashion, contaminants from derailed cars also spilled into waterways, with officials tracking a large plume of chemicals flowing down the Ohio River. Thousands of fish have been killed by the chemical spill, according to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. The EPA says it's continuing to monitor air and water quality. What all of this has served to do is getting us to talk less about Ukraine, and apparently care less as well. The Hill reports American support for Ukraine aid has slipped. A poll conducted by the Associated Press NORC Center for Public Affairs Research finds that now 48% of Americans support sending weapons to Ukraine. That's a significant drop from May of last year, when about 60% supported sending Ukraine weapons. Americans were more evenly split when asked about sending funds directly to Ukraine. The Ukraine-Russia war is coming up on its first anniversary. Only 19% of Americans in the survey said that they have a great deal of confidence in Biden to address the war in Ukraine. The woke cult purports to care about people, but only seems to be dehumanizing. An evolutionary biology research group wants to replace mother and father with egg donor and sperm donor, according to Red State. One ideal of being progressive was to ensure equality for women. Now we're reduced to egg producers. The Ecology and Evolutionary Biology Project is also policing the word fitness as being harmful to some people. The war on words needs to start even earlier. Preschool teachers are drilling students in woke gender language, according to Washington Free Beacon. Insider is featuring this essay: "My wife is bisexual and non-binary, and my daughter is transgender. My queer family helped me better understand myself and my masculinity." And then we have Satanists holding a gender-affirming ritual to protest Idaho's proposed ban on child sex changes. Seriously.
Thank you for attending our Satanic gender affirmation ritual. Everyone on the other corresponding floors. Hail Satan to that. I would like everyone participating to please take the piece of paper and pen provided and write your dead names, dead pronouns.
Dead names and dead pronouns, what a way to celebrate humanity. Meanwhile, this woman was booted from the Virginia Education Board and called a white supremacist after defending the Constitution. Yes, this Indian immigrant was characterized as a white supremacist just for saying that the documents that were drawn up, starting with the Declaration of Independence and then the Constitution, put the unalienable rights and our individual freedom first and foremost. Today's takeaways: China is threatening countermeasures for shooting down its balloon despite evidence of a long-standing, quite friendly relationship with President Biden. Legacy media is ignoring the plight of Ohio residents dealing with possibly the largest environmental disaster of our time. Americans are increasingly done with supporting Ukraine, and nothing celebrates humanity quite like killing off the concept of mothers and fathers and satanic rituals highlighting dead names. For more top headlines minus the propaganda parroting, go to AmericanFaith.com and subscribe to our daily newsletter. For American Faith, I'm Kristi.